Number 11. The Dark Sarcophagus. In 2018, archaeologists unearthed the largest sarcophagus ever found within the ancient city of Alexandria. People immediately began speculating about what was inside the huge granite coffin. Some believed that it contained the long-lost remains of Alexander the Great. Others thought that there was a curse inside, and that opening the sarcophagus would unleash it. But of course, scientists went ahead and opened it anyway. The box was 8.5 foot by 5 foot. In it, they found the skeletons of 2 men and 1 woman, immersed in putrid red sewage that had seeped into the coffin from a nearby apartment building. The bones were placed into the sarcophagus at different times. There was a hole in one of the men's skulls, indicating that he had survived ancient brain surgery or had been shot in the head with an arrow. The remains date back to either sometime between 332 BC and 30 BC during the Greek-ruled Ptolemaic dynasty, or from 30 BC to 642 AD when Rome ruled Egypt. Researchers don't know who the individuals were or why they were buried in such a large coffin, and hope to learn more about the mysterious trio through DNA testing and CT scans. Number 10. Magnificent burial. Less than 2,000 years ago, when Rome ruled Egypt, a woman named Demetria was laid to rest in an ornately decorated tomb at Saqqara. Archaeologists discovered her burial in 2019 and were fascinated by what they saw. Demetria's grave contains a carving of her wearing a white dress and carrying grapes, while a pet of an unknown species looks up at her. A Greek inscription on the image translates to, "Demetria, daughter of Menelaus, granddaughter of Ammonia, worthy, farewell." Ammonia was most likely Demetria's paternal grandmother, according to Roman Egypt expert Roger Bagnall, who deciphered the inscriptions for Life Science. He further explained that the girl's paternal grandfather may have been considered illegitimate, since his name is absent from the carving. Another etching inside Demetria's burial shows the deities Thoth, Seth, and Anubis. It's accompanied by an inscription about her father, Menelaus. The carving contains the rarely used words therapeutes, indicating that Menelaus was a servant of the gods, rather than mortals. Number 9. What ancient Egyptians looked like. Scientists successfully reconstructed a mummy's genome for the first time in 2017, when they extracted DNA from 3 men who were buried in the ancient city of Absur el-Melek, sometime between 1380 BC and 425 AD. The information helped researchers to reconstruct the trio's faces, offering the first ever glimpse at what someone living in ancient Egypt over 2,000 years ago may have looked like. Using a method of genetic analysis called forensic DNA phenotyping, the team created 3D models of the mummy's faces. The process works by predicting certain aspects of a person's appearance, like the shape of the face, based on their DNA. Scientists determined that the men had light brown skin with dark brown hair and eyes. They are more genetically similar to people in the Mediterranean or Middle East than people living in modern Egypt, according to a statement from Parabon Nanolabs, the company that performed the analysis. Ellen Graytack, the director of bioinformatics, told Life Science that working with ancient DNA is complicated because it's often degraded or mixed with bacterial DNA. In cases where there are important pieces missing from a DNA sample, scientists rely on nearby information to predict what the missing pieces contained. The technology isn't foolproof, but it's also a lot more than just a guessing game. It's a useful tool for bringing us closer to our past. Whose DNA do you think scientists are most interested in studying, and why? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 8. Pink Pharaoh Statue. In late 2019, archaeologists discovered a rare pink granite statue of the pharaoh Ramesses II near the Giza pyramids west of Cairo. They also found a miniature limestone sphinx while excavating the property of a man who was caught illegally hunting for treasure. The 3.5 foot tall, 1.8 foot wide statue is one of the rarest ancient Egyptian discoveries ever made. It's the first known sculpture of its kind made from granite. A hieroglyphic on the back of the artifact translates to "strong bull." This is a testament to the ruler's strength and vitality, according to Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. He further explained that the statue was meant to serve as a resting place for the Ka, or life force after death. Also known as Ramesses the Great, Ramesses II ruled Egypt from 1279 BC to 1213 BC during the 19th dynasty. He's thought to be the pharaoh in the biblical Exodus story. During his 60-year reign, he vastly expanded the empire. Ramesses II lived to around 90 years old, vastly outliving the average ancient Egyptian's life expectancy of no more than 40 years. He built more monuments and had more children than any other pharaoh. Number 7. Exos Origins. A mysterious dynasty called the Hyksos ruled Egypt from 1638 BC to 1530 BC. For a long time, experts believed that they were foreigners who invaded the region and took over. But new evidence recently revealed that the Hyksos may have come from within Egypt all along. Researchers performed a chemical analysis on some teeth from Hyksos graves and found that the alleged first foreigners to rule Egypt had already been there for several generations before coming to power. Written records of the Hyksos are incredibly scarce. During the 3rd century BC, long after they fell out of power, a Ptolemaic priest named Manetho wrote that Hyksos invaded Egypt from the northeast after the Middle Kingdom fell around 1650 BC. Ancient hieroglyphs describe it as a tumultuous and unstable period, but it's hard to know what to believe. Dynasties that ruled after the Hyksos destroyed records and spread propaganda about previous rulers, earning the Hyksos a disorderly and chaotic reputation. Excavations at their capital city Avaris suggest that the Hyksos may have originated in the Middle East. Tombs found at the ancient site contain evidence of an interesting mixture of Egyptian and non-Egyptian burial customs. New findings show that the Hyksos were a distinct ethnic group who originated in different regions and migrated to Egypt in waves. Most of the men whose teeth were analyzed as part of the study arrived in the area before the Hyksos came to power. These discoveries challenge the long-standing belief that the Hyksos entered Egypt as a unified invading force. There were also many female remains at the site, which made scientists realize that they need to further investigate the roles women played in Hyksos society. Number 6. A new queen. Earlier this year, archaeologists discovered the 4,200-year-old tomb of a previously unknown queen at the ancient necropolis of Saqqara. The funerary temple was found near the pyramid of King Teti and contains inscriptions identifying the woman as his wife and daughter, Queen Nate. Until then, researchers believed that King Teti only had 2 wives, named Iput I and Kuit II. Back in 2010, the team discovered a pyramid that they only recently realized was dedicated to Queen Niet. And there are more fascinating sites and artifacts nearby, waiting to be unearthed. Archaeologist and team leader Zahi Hawass told the press that only 30% of Saqqara has been excavated, and that most of the sprawling site remains buried for now. He also said that discoveries like this are rewriting ancient Egyptian history, especially when it comes to the New Kingdom's 18th and 19th dynasties, during which time King Teti ruled. In addition to discovering Queen Nate's funerary chamber, the team found an array of New Kingdom artifacts dating back roughly 3,000 years. The collection includes figurines, pottery, dozens of mummies, and 54 colorful coffins. It marked the first time wooden coffins from the New Kingdom were found at Saqqara, according to Supreme Council of Antiquities Chief Mustafa Waziri. The sheer number of discoveries happening here and elsewhere throughout Egypt reminds us of how little we truly know about the ancient Egyptians and how much we have yet to learn. Number 5. Petit Sarcophagus. While excavating a tomb complex in Egypt's Baharia Oasis in 2010, archaeologists unearthed an unusually small sarcophagus depicting a wide-eyed woman wearing a tunic. It was the first Roman-style mummy ever found in the region, and the only mummy of its type among the site's 14 burials, which date back to around 2,000 years ago during the Greco-Roman era. Experts initially believed that the 3.2-foot-long sarcophagus belonged to a child, but its elaborate features, including eyes containing colored stones, a headscarf, bracelet, shoes, and beaded necklace, indicated that the remains belonged to a wealthy and influential adult. Speaking with National Geographic, Mohammed Afifi of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities said that he initially thought the mummy was a dwarf, but the researchers don't know for sure who she was or how old she was. Number 4. spelling mistakes. Ancient Egyptian scribes were entrusted with highly important tasks, like record keeping and communicating. They began their training during childhood, learning under a master scribe, who taught them how to write letters, wills, tax forms, and other documents. Scribes used writing boards to practice their penmanship by copying texts. Writing boards were often reused and passed through the hands of many students. A writing board dating back sometime between 1981 and 1802 BC, during the Middle Kingdom period, shows that teachers corrected their students' work much like they do now. A student named Inisu used to write a letter to his brother, Pe Nisu. The writing reflects a simplified cursive hieroglyphic style that was developed around 3000 BC to make it easier for scribes to compose lengthy administrative and religious documents. Inisu's teacher marked and corrected his mistakes with red ink, much like modern teachers do when they grade papers. Discoveries like this show that even though our lives are much different from how people lived during the ancient world, we do have a few things in common. Number 3. Pharaoh mummy portraits. During the late 19th century, British archaeologist W.M. Flinders Petrie discovered 150 portraits buried with mummies in a Roman-era cemetery in Egypt's Fayum Oasis region. Dating back to the 1st century BC, the paintings were made on wood panels. They display eerily lifelike qualities and reflect a confusing combination of Egyptian, Roman, and Greek customs, leaving experts puzzled. The artwork sat in storage for decades, receiving very little attention from the academic community. Portraits are rarely found in Egypt's historical record. Getty Museum conservator Marie Svoboda recognized their value when she started the Ancient Panel Paintings Examination, Analysis, and Research project in 2013. Her goal was to compile a database of the little-studied mummy portraits that are scattered throughout the world. The project is helping researchers learn more about the artwork by looking for patterns in the materials, painting styles, and other characteristics. They found that the portraits were created in studios, with multiple artists often working on the same piece. The paintings were made with imported materials, reflecting Egypt's vast trading connections. Portraits that can be traced to their mummy show that the individuals passed away at the age they are depicted as in the image, meaning the pictures were created around the time of death. There are many lingering, unanswered questions about the artwork. As the database continues to grow, each promising lead leaves experts with new mysteries to solve. Number 2. Mud Mummy. In 1860, someone donated a mummy to the University of Sydney in Australia. It wasn't until 1999 that experts performed a CT scan and noticed something strange inside the sarcophagus. They extracted some of the wrappings and found that they were covered in a sandy, mud-like mixture, which has never been seen in any other burial. Another team of researchers examined the mummy in 2017 and found that the person inside did not match the sarcophagus. The mummy dates back to around 1207 BC, but the coffin was created in 1000 BC, making it nearer than its occupant. Antiquities traders probably put the wrong body into the sarcophagus because they could make more money by selling a complete set, rather than selling the mummy and the coffin separately. The team believes that the woman was encased in mud as a money-saving way of preparing someone of a low social status for the afterlife. Mummification was costly and time-consuming, and it typically required imported materials. Not everyone could afford it. Although this is the only mud mummy ever found, it indicates that there were low-cost, locally sourced alternatives for people who needed an affordable burial. Number 1. Gilded Mummy. While excavating at Saqqara in 2018, archaeologists uncovered a tomb complex containing a mummification workshop, mummies, sarcophagi, and a silver face mask gilded with gold. There are several underground burial shafts, with some measuring over 100 feet deep. The silver mask dates back to sometime between 664 BC and 404 BC, and is one of several artifacts at the site that are believed to be at least 2,500 years old. Its haunting eyes are made from calcite, obsidian, and a black gemstone. Team leader Ramadan Badri Hussain described the mask as a sensation and said that very few precious metal artifacts have survived into the present due to looting. It belongs to a mummy who was found inside a badly damaged coffin, bearing an image of the goddess Mut. Based on what's left of the writing on the casket, researchers believe that the mummy was a priest who served the deity. Inside the mummification workshop, the team found bowls and measuring cups bearing the names of substances that were used in the mummifying process, as well as 2 large basins that were used for preparing mummies. Excavations are ongoing, and there could be more exciting discoveries to come. Thanks for watching. Which one of these discoveries from ancient Egypt fascinated you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!